Today, Manel Kape has missed weight for his flyweight bout with Matheus Nicolau. It has thus been canceled. Also proving that we can't have anything good in mixed martial arts. And Rose Namajunas is back on her way into the octagon. But it's not going to be at UFC 300. And there's still some drama brewing around John Jones and Tommy Aspinall. Nah, 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 nah. Today, I will tell you why it is what it is. All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up? We right back at it, right back with it. We are coming up on UFC Vegas 84 going down this weekend. We're in the main event. We got Ankalaev stepping in there with Johnny Walker in a rematch. So that's the main event. But I personally was more excited about the co-main event, which was going to be Matheus Nicolau stepping in the octagon with Manel Kape. Manel Kape has since missed weight. He weighed in at 129.5 pounds. I mean, did you know the fight was scheduled for tomorrow? Could you have pushed yourself away from the dinner table? Was it sweets? Was it salty foods? Was it liquor? What happened? Manel Kape, what happened? Anyway, so that fight has now been canceled. So that's not going to happen. So that definitely sucks for the card. You know what I'm saying? That was definitely a fight everybody was looking forward to seeing. If anything, you just wanted to see Manel Kape go out there and try to avenge a loss. So that was going to be pretty cool to see. But nevertheless, that fight has now been scrapped, so we're not going to get that. And, I mean, in my opinion, the card took a major hit with that off of there. There's still some other good fights, but that was the fight everyone had circled because it really had, title shot implications. Now, with that being said, you're kind of looking at Brandon Moreno is probably going to be the guy to challenge for the flyweight championship as long as he wins his fight. Now, I know what you're thinking. Matt, hasn't there been some shakeup there? Yes, there has. Because Amir Albazi is now out of his fight, I believe due to injury, with Brandon Moreno, and enter in Raw Dog. Brandon Royval is back in the mix. He's back at it. They're going to do battle in Mexico City. Even with that being said, even if Raw Dog goes out there and spectacularly knocks out Brandon Moreno, I don't see him getting the title shot. So as long as Brandon Moreno goes out there and does work, I could definitely see the UFC running that back unless they can rebook Manel Kape extremely fast, against another opponent or against the same opponent. Because I really feel like that was who they were leaning toward to try to make some sort of waves to throw him in there in a flyweight championship fight. So we'll see how all of that plays out. Let's move on. Also, just signed, let me check my notes for the Diz 8. We have, on March 23rd, Rose Namajunas is going to make her way back into the octagon. She's stepping in the octagon with Amanda Ribas. This is going to be very interesting. I've kind of been fading Amanda Ribas lately because, even though she had that legendary performance in her last fight, as I've been saying, she takes a ton of damage. That girl, shout out to her because she's a savage. She ain't worried about no defense. It's all offense with her. If she gets caught with some shots, she gonna eat them. She gonna take them. So she's stepping in there with Rose Namajunas, who did not have a good showing against Manon Fiorot. And, I know she had a finger injury, hand injury, so obviously that's going to affect you while you're trying to fight a fight, but it still was not a good performance. Let's check. I believe, yes. Okay, this is going to be a flyweight fight. So Rose Namajunas is still going to stay at flyweight. She's going to step in the octagon with Amanda Ribas. I definitely think that's going to be a good fight. Well, let's say, let me throw in a caveat. It depends on if Pat Barry is going to be cornering her, and we're not going to have Trevor Whitman at all. If there's not going to be Trevor Whitman, I got Amanda Ribas all day. Even though the skill set of Rose Namajunas says she should go out there and win. If Pat Barry's going to be our prime coach and the main guy in her corner, no Trevor Whitman, I got Amanda Ribas all day. I don't care how many shots she eats. Rose and Pat Barry, bro. Rose, I know that's your dude and everything in real life, but if you're not going to be with Trevor Whitman no more, you know what I'm saying? You got to Beyonce it. To the left. You got to get Pat Barry up out of there. And you got to get a real head coach. Because the proof is not in the pudding with Pat Barry. We ain't seen no proof yet. Okay? So, shout out to Trevor Whitman. I hope he can get back in the camp. But that fight has definitely already been booked. So, we'll see how it goes down. Like I say, if Pat Barry's going to be her prime coach, I got to go along with Amanda Ribas to get the win. Now, another thing I would like to address. Zhang Weili is going to step in the octagon with Xiaonan at UFC 300 to defend her strawweight championship. That is just the latest major fight that's been signed for UFC 300. It's also, been a little rumblings in the grapevine that they are working on getting Figgy Smalls, Davison Figueiredo in there with Cody Garbrandt, which was the fight that was supposed to happen at flyweight, but just Cody got injured, couldn't work out. Now they're both back at bantamweight for Cody and second fight at bantamweight for Davison Figueiredo. So, with that being said, that fight is not official yet as far as I'm aware, but it's definitely what's rumored. It's probably going to be made official. I would still say UFC 300 is still definitely lacking. It's still definitely lacking the star power that we've come to kind of get with the 100 pay-per-views, the UFC 100, UFC 200. Now we're talking about UFC 300. Still lacking that star power. But at the same time, I really feel like that main event is going to kind of hinge upon what happens in Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight championship. I feel like based out of that is what's going to determine if the UFC is going to pull a rabbit out of the hat or make us all suffer with the main event of Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad. So, we'll see how that goes down, but those are two more fights that have been booked. I definitely think that Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan is going to be a great strawweight fight, but I just think it kind of lacks the punch, the oomph, you know what I'm saying? It kind of lacks that because we really all wanted to see that go down in China, but, I don't know what happened with that. Things fall through. You know what I'm saying? UFC's got to pivot. So it's going to be a UFC 300. I can't hate on it. It's definitely going to be a good title fight, But we'll see how it all goes down. But, yeah, there you go. And Davison Figueiredo against Cody Garbrandt. I got Davison Figueiredo all day. Hopefully that is an official fight for UFC 300. Moving on, we're going to end with Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Or Tommy Aspinall. Man, I'm a Jon Jones fan, as you can tell from my wall. This is what I'll say, and I'll say it real quick. As a Jon Jones fan, it's one of the hardest jobs, one of the hardest tasks in the world. You know what I'm saying? It's up there with fishing in the sea on the deadliest catch. That's how hard the job is. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, when I look at Jon Jones, to me, I'm a fan of just a savage fighter in the octagon who does savage things. He chokes Alioto Machida and lets its lifeless body fall to the canvas. He rocks Daniel Cormier, hits him with a leg kick because Daniel Cormier's trying to get away, and then delivers a devastating blow, lays him out. You know what I'm saying? Takes him to the ground. It's a wrap. So, with that being said, man, Jon Jones is definitely holding the heavyweight championship hostage. You know, that's for sure. Jon Jones clearly has no desire, does not want to fight Tom Aspinall. So, you know, you can lean that toward he's scared of him. You can lean that toward a lot of things. But at the same time, I would say I don't believe Jon Jones is scared of any man, because had Francis Ngannou went along with the contract the UFC wanted him to take, you would have got Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou for Jon Jones' return bout at heavyweight, you know, or his first bout, I should say, returning the octagon, first bout at heavyweight. But, you know, Francis had his issues with the contract. He's gone on to be the biggest star in boxing at this point in time. Argue with your mama. Nevertheless, bro, so I don't feel like he's scared of Tom Aspinall, but I feel like what he sees in Aspinall is there is danger. There is a chance that that's a L that Jon Jones could hold. You know what I'm saying? That is a hot L that could be served on a plate to him. So I'm not saying that he's scared of him, but I think he recognizes the danger, and he would probably rather not have that type of danger in his last fight. I don't agree with that, but at the same time, it doesn't really change my fandom for Jon Jones. But I will say he's holding the heavyweight title hostage. He needs to let that thing free, give it free, let it go. You know, hit up Izzy, ask him about Elsa. You know what I'm saying? Because Jon Jones is frozen in his history of being a pound for pound championship caliber fighter. With that being said, you know, I guess he's going to go ahead and ride off into the sunset after beating the brakes off Stipe Miocic. And those of us Jon Jones fans will have to live off of the old memories of light heavyweight when he was just doing damage and was one of the most feared men in the octagon, period. With all of that being said, there's a lot of back and forth between these two dudes, but I don't really feel like there's a lot to report because it's just going to end up with the same outcome. Tom Aspinall is sooner or later going to start defending the heavyweight championship, the interim for now, heavyweight championship against contenders. And Jon Jones is going to wait till later on sometime this year, come back, beat the brakes off old Wash Stipe, and ride off into the sunset. And I don't think anything's going to change about that. So I don't really feel like it's anything to really debate. But for the record, as a Jon Jones fan, Jon Jones is holding the heavyweight title hostage. Jon Jones does not want to face Tom Aspinall. That's clear. So, that's about it. You know, the card tomorrow, UFC Vegas 84, in which Manel Kape versus Matheus Nicolau has been canceled. So, we're not going to get that prime co-main event, but nevertheless, we still got Ankalaev stepping in there in a rematch with Johnny Walker. Definitely light heavyweight implications, title implications on that one. So we'll see how that goes. But outside of that, a few more fights were signed, and that about does it. So please like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate all the comments and feedback that I get from you guys. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to watch my videos. And I do want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.